Brent, welcome to the program. Thanks for coming in here. Let's start with the elephant in the room. Defend Texas Liberty gave you $35,000, one of your big donors here too. Jonathan Stickland, the former state rep from North Texas, he met with white supremacist Nick Fuentes not too long ago. What was your reaction to that meeting?
I had never heard of Nick Fuentes. Certainly everything I've learned about him since then is bad and not the kind of person that I would want to be associated or affiliated with. I don't know what their meeting was about. I don't know what they discussed. I do know that Defend Texas Liberty is supporting me, and I'm not any of those things. What I know about Jonathan Stickland, he isn't either. So I don't know what the reason for that meeting was. I know that in this kind of campaign, you're going to get support from all different kinds of people, and I think that their support shows that they like what I am. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm supporting everything that they support.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and a few others have given back money or donated it to causes that they want to donate it to. Do you plan to do anything with your $35,000?
No, I've spent it on getting my message out, my message of freedom and bold Christian conservative values, and that's what it's already been spent on.
Some people have said the Republican Party of Texas right now is in the middle of a civil war between the traditional side, traditionalists, the establishment, and the far right. How would you describe what's going on, what we're seeing right now?
I think that is true, except for that I would say the traditionalists are the people who are on the far right. I think the party itself is trying to find its identity, and is it going to be just pro-big business, or is it going to really continue to support the values that have made Texas great, the Christian conservative values. And so I don't know all of the reasons for the infighting, but there's definitely a line on one side that has Dan Patrick and Ted Cruz and Ken Paxton and a lot of the conservatives. And then you have the people who side with Democrats, who appoint Democrats to committee chairs, who through an entire legislative session and now into our fourth special session can't even get a vote on border security bills. There's a lot going on.
You and your opponent support a lot of the same issues: border security, Second Amendment, right to life. If I'm going to the ballot box in HD2 for this runoff election, how are you guys different?
Yeah.
You're both Republicans.
I think what you have to understand about House District 2 is it is one of the most conservative districts in the state of Texas. A lot of people who wake up in the morning and pray and read their Bible with their family, go to work, come home, do it again, go to sleep, and do the same thing the next day. There is a strong conservative voice in House District 2, and that's the kind of person that the district wants to represent them. And I think the difference between the two is between the two of us. Jill is a very nice lady. I've met her just through the course of this campaign. I think she's sincere in what she says she believes. I think that I'm a more bold leader on those issues and am willing to stick my neck out. I'm not just here to get along with everybody and enjoy being a legislator. It's a difficult job and not one that is it's not the kind of job that you do just to enjoy. You're going to make a lot of people upset no matter which side you take. And
the two biggest issues right now facing House District 2 are what, in your opinion?
Border security and probably border security.
But how is border security impacting, Northeast Texas, rural Texas?
I think every county in Texas is a border county right now. They see it as crime comes into their county, as just additional weight of taxpayer subsidized education and health care for people who are not here legally. And I'm pro-immigration. I think we're a nation of immigrants. My family immigrated here. Yours probably did as well. I'm not anti-immigration, but we have to know who's coming in. We can't have, over the course of the last 2 or 3 years, 1.6 million people that are in Texas that we don't know who they are, where they came from, what their intentions are. And so I think people are just fearful of what Texas is going to look like if we don't stop illegal immigration.
How do you stop that?
Well, first you have to have some sort of border barrier, and it can be a wall, it can be, they can use technology, they can use manpower, but there has to be a way where we say, hey, if you want to come into our country, here's the door. Before I came into the studio today, I had to announce who I was. They went through a check, and I came in. And I was here by invitation. As I knock on doors in the district, it says welcome on the mat, but I don't just go in through the window. I knock on the door and introduce myself, and we chat. So we need that kind of a system, and we also need a system to get the bad people out and keep them out.
One of the issues on your website, you say you will all forms of abortion must be eliminated. Do you support any exceptions at all?
No. I believe that God creates every human being in his own image, and they're entitled to equal protection under the law from conception until natural death. And so it's not a matter, I know there are hard cases. My wife volunteers at a pregnancy clinic in Greenville. We have adopted children. We know there are hard cases out there. We foster kids. In my law practice, I've represented foster families and families going through things with CPS. There's a lot of hard cases out there, and we need to care for those people. But if you start from the premise that every life is created by God, then you can't support exceptions for abortion.
Mother's life?
Mother's life is a triage situation. That's a different situation. If you have two patients there and one's going to die and one's going to, you can't save them both. Doctors and healthcare professionals have to make those kinds of decisions all the time. Those are extremely rare cases.
But as far as abortion goes, with rape victims?
Rape victims, once again, very tragic criminal case. But adding another tragedy to that does not eliminate the first tragedy.
We've seen some states, Kansas and Ohio most recently, let voters decide on abortion. Would you support a constitutional amendment where voters get the say on that?
I think voters always have a say. Voters have a say there. Voters have a say here. Voters in my district are going to be more conservative on this issue than voters in other districts, and so I think voters always have a say.
First bill you would introduce if elected is what?
This is kind of a joke, but probably shortening the period of time to fill a vacancy in the legislature. We had a vacancy in the legislature from May, and we're not going to fill it until February. And as a person who's a candidate, and I'm sure Ms. Dutton would say the same thing, this is a long time to run a race.
And those 194,000 people haven't had representation in Austin for almost a year.
Yeah, they were not represented during the impeachment of Ken Paxton. They were not represented during now 4 special sessions. There's got to be a better way to do this. I know that's not an issue that probably matters to most of the people watching here, but man, it's got to be fixed.
Brent, thank you for the time.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Jason.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.